Singapore Grand Prix.
Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome back.
It's not quite as hot here
No,
as it is in Singapore.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it probably was like 30 degrees or something Celsius, so that's around 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So yeah, and all those European guys were all moaning and groaning about the heat. You know,
They're not fans of the heat.
Don't tell that to a NASCAR guy. They
No.
may be fat, but they got to sit in that thing, and that's cooking in there. I'm telling you, those cars inside are cooking you. I mean, and they're not complaining.
No, they're not.
You know, I just find it hilarious.
They're not.
As a European, I just it's like the soccer players.
Yeah.
You know, come on.
Yeah.
Get your big boy pants on.
They have to take a water break.
Yeah, get your big boy pants on and deal with
Let's
it.
go.
You know,
Let's
anyway.
go. Yes.
So, what a race. So, the beginning of let's start with qualifying. So, we're looking at qualifying here, you know, surprising qualifying. I think one of the wrinkles in qualifying was that Stroll wreck at the very end that ruined a lot of people's laps. You know, so that kind of upset, upset the apple cart.
Yep.
But again, Ferrari was fast.
Ferrari's fast.
Just like
was very
Monza.
fast. Mm-hmm.
And then you have a Red Bull. What do you say to that?
Had a Red Bull issue. You know, seeing Max get out of the car, I've never seen him get out of an F1 car like that.
Yeah.
In such anger and frustration.
Well,
and he's you know, say what you want about him. He's normally very complimentary of his team.
Yes, right.
And he does the right thing as far as being cordial with them. Not on Saturday.
Well, you know, don't you think it's a little bit of, you know, it reminds me of what successful people have told me in the past. It's not, it's when everything's hunky-dory, you don't see the true character of somebody. But when things don't go so well, that's when you see the true character of somebody.
Yes.
And unfortunately for him, we didn't hear a peep from Perez. Perez was out of the limelight. He did not do any interviews. He kept his head down, and he's like, I'm not saying a damn word because, you know, guess what? When you make complaints like that, remember what happened to Alonso at Ferrari?
Didn't go well.
Yeah, it doesn't go very well when you complain about a car that's been winning every effing race all year long, and now it's not so good.
Do you think that worked into it, where they did have the record at stake, and then they turn in a performance like that? That just has to make it that much worse.
But that's just being ungrateful. I'm sorry, that's just being a spoiled brat in my opinion. You know, he's just an entitled little kid who was like, well, I deserve to be up front. No, you don't. Your car sucked on this track for whatever reason, and they'll figure out why, but they couldn't figure it out fast enough.
No.
And you know, honestly, the track had changed completely since last year. Totally different track. They also resurfaced part of it. They didn't resurface all of it. They didn't even resurface, they resurfaced small little sections. Like they would have a patch of asphalt next to the patch of concrete. So half your car was on asphalt, the other half was on concrete. So as a driver, that makes the car very unstable. So there's lots of reasons why a car could not perform on that track as well as another car.
Gotcha.
So the cars with more mechanical grip had an advantage over the cars that were aerodynamic. And knowing Adrian Newey, my guess would be his car is completely aerodynamic and no mechanical grip at all. Correct. So hence, we've got Red Bulls in the back, and we've got cars with mechanical grip up front.
But wouldn't they have to know that ahead of time?
They did, and they did.
Okay.
They did the simulator, which we need to talk about. This guy has experience with a simulator here. But the simulations they did prior to the race, they knew going in that they were going to be nowhere. And that's pretty amazing by itself, that they could do that on a simulator and figure it out. That's freaking amazing. I don't know how they did that.
Man.
But they knew going in that this was not going to be their race.
Right.
So,
and you just have to cross your
so
fingers.
tell us about these simulators.
Yeah, but from SimCraft.
Yes.
So should you have an extra 140 to 170,000 US dollars around?
So for a price of a used Ferrari, you could
Correct.
get a simulator.
You can get
Is
a
that
simulator.
what you're saying?
Yes, to drive many different types of cars.
That better be like gold plated and feed you while you're at it and massage you. And is there a massage chair in there?
No, it's not. It's actually quite uncomfortable, but yeah, no, simulator is. I think they're becoming more popular, and
wow.
I wish I had one.
Yeah, no kidding. For that kind of money,
Yeah, that's
it must be. And you said it was on hydraulics and
It's on
moved
hydraulics.
like a real race
It's on
car.
a whole platform and 3 curved monitors. It's
Yeah, that's kind of like the aircraft simulators
Yeah,
are. You
yeah,
know,
and they make
on a
that-
smaller scale.
right.
Yeah.
That same company makes the
Interesting.
aircraft ones.
Makes
too.
sense to me.
Yeah,
I wish I had those in my day. It would
Yeah.
have made things a lot easier to be able to actually drive a track without driving it.
Yeah, and so how many teams actually have access to that?
I
Because
have
we
no
hear
idea.
about Williams for a long time
Yeah.
couldn't afford
Yep.
the power to run the simulator that they owned. That's a real advantage for the
It might
Ferraris
be.
and
I
Red
mean,
Bulls.
if you're talking about a couple $100 million budget, surely there's 160 in there for a simulator.
You would
know
think
what I'm
so.
saying? I mean, come on.
It is the same one that Max uses on his e-gaming. So hey, if it's good enough for Max, here we go.
I just, unfortunately, I when I play a video game with my kids and I do the driving games, my son actually has a proper seat and everything, but it's not hydraulic. It's not a
right.
simulator.
Right.
And I suck at driving. I frickin' suck. I mean, he beats me every time.
Wow.
And it's just I don't have, my body is not telling me what the car's doing.
Okay,
my,
right.
My brain's confused. I can't. My brain can't compute what's happening on the screen.
So there's not so
So-
much feel.
Right, and that's why they came up with that simulator that's actually on
Yes.
hydraulics, because your body is telling you what to do. Not
Right.
your brain, not your eyes, not your ears, not your hands. It's your body is telling you how you should react, and that's the difference. So video
Gotcha.
games are not realistic at
No,
all
no.
when it comes to that. Anyway, so let's go back to qualifying. So Sainz, Russell, oh my God, Russell. I think he did a fantastic job.
Tremendous. He's put in a lot of really good performances this year. That is, he and George together for the next couple of years. They're going to be tough
Yep, I agree.
for sure.
Yep. And Leclerc, he just didn't seem like on it all weekend.
Yep.
He was always slower than Sainz, and he was slower the last race too. And he just didn't seem to have
their home
Sainz's
race.
pace.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Sainz has figured something out with the car. That's usually what happens. Or they've adjusted the car more to his driving style.
Could be.
Because last year was the other way around.
So if they have worked on his car and they've
Right.
tweaked it a little bit, that gives him more confidence, right?
Right. So there's 4 things that they work on to make a driver more comfortable: throttle control,
Okay.
brake control, aerodynamics, and seating. Okay. So those 4 things are critical to driver's confidence. So the more confidence he has when he stomps on the brakes, the later he's going to brake, the better he's going to brake, the more efficient he's going to be. The more confidence he has in the car to move a certain way, the more of himself he's going to put into it, the more commitment you have.
Right.
And so sometimes teams will play around with all those components, and that's, you hear drivers complaining about the brakes, and that's why, or the throttle control. And so I wonder if they've changed some things around that made him more comfortable, and now he feels actually comfortable, and he's caught up to Leclerc. And Leclerc has been there. He's been there longer at Ferrari. He's already figured all these things out, and now he's on level with Leclerc.
Wow.
That would be my guess.
That's fascinating.
So
Okay, well, good for Carlos. He clearly put it in qualifying and then, of course, the race. But
yep,
how about Lando in qualifying?
love it. Love it.
What a
Love
season.
it.
What a season.
McLaren is known for mechanical grip.
Yeah.
So is Mercedes. Ferrari's surprising. I'm surprised by that they have the mechanical grip. Haas is known for mechanical grip.
Sure.
And so you had Magnussen right there in the mix, which was, amazing. And Hulkenberg too.
Right.
What do you think about Alonso? 7th place.
Seems to be his season is going downhill, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, the first 3, 4, 5
I seriously,
races,
I
amazing.
seriously wonder if they run out of budget.
Yeah,
I
that-
wonder
this
if they've run out of money.
This happened. Didn't this happen last year with Renault?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alpine
it did.
Renault. Yeah,
It did. They run out of money.
it was completely
You know.
running gas. I mean, disappointing.
Yep.
Disappointing.
And talking of Alpine, Ocon was 8th. That's pretty damn good.
Yep,
For an Alpine.
for sure.
And then Liam Lawson, he's doing a stellar job. If you compare him, unfortunately, to Logan Sargent,
Oh my gosh.
You know, I mean, he's in a much better car, no doubt, but Logan's not showing up his more experienced
Well-
teammate, and Liam has been showing every single race. Liam's been faster than Sonoda.
Right from the
I
get-go.
mean,
Yep.
you know, so
Where does his performances leave Daniel Ricciardo?
I would suspect that they would be looking at replacing Sonoda with Lawson and keeping Ricardo.
Okay, so it's a Lawson Ricciardo.
But I don't know if Sonoda has re-signed a contract yet.
No, I don't think so.
You know, because honestly, I mean, he brings money to the table, so that's why he's there. Japanese money
Sure.
bringing with him. Yeah, and behind Lawson beat out Verstappen for the third qualifying.
That's amazing.
And Max and Sergio were out in second qualifying. I'm not sure that's ever happened.
Well,
Not
and
sure.
look at Pierre in the Alpine was almost exactly a tenth
Yep. Yep.
behind Max.
Mm-hmm.
That is not good. That's not Red Bull Racing, right?
No, and I'm not sure that's ever happened to Max. I'm not sure has he ever missed a Q3. I don't know.
It must have been early on.
Not sure.
Maybe in Toro Rosso,
Yeah,
the
maybe,
first
maybe
half
once
of that.
or maybe
Yeah.
once, but he's not accustomed to that, and that's why
The frustration is there.
the pouty face.
Yeah.
Alex Albon, I wish if none of you have watched on YouTube, go search Alex Albon go-kart and watch him compete against all these guys, and he blew them away. He's really a diamond in the rough. Problem is, I'm not sure he has it mentally. Not sure he wants it bad enough to sell his grandmother down the river.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what it takes at this level.
Yep.
And so I don't know.
So how do you think he would have performed, not to get ahead of ourselves, but the last 4 laps of the race, if he's one of those 4 cars?
He would have been right there. He would have. I mean, he's yeah. I mean, yeah. He's got all the talent in the world, and I think he would have been right there with Russell,
Right.
and Lando, and he probably would have figured out a way to pass in those final laps.
Agreed. Agreed.
He's one of the rare people. So is Piastri. Piastri finished 17th. He got caught up by a Stroll wreck apparently, and
Yep.
couldn't finish his fast lap. Logan Sargent got caught up by that too, but he was how much slower? He was a second slower than his teammate.
Golly.
No, 7/10.
Still.
That's still a lot.
Over half a
that's,
second.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, that's tough.
And Joe Granyu, same thing. Yeah. So anyway, so qualifying was interesting. Now let's talk about the race.
Yeah.
So I was expecting a lot more safety cars, but there were only
Let's
2.
talk about the track first.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So getting rid of those 4 corners.
Yes, made the track totally different. So they had very little information to go on, and I think the simulator helped a lot. But you needed a car that was quick out of the gate.
Yep.
And it was more than anything, I think the track surface messed with these cars.
Yeah, you were saying some is asphalt, some is concrete.
If you have a strip like that, I can't tell you. It's like difference between asphalt and concrete. It's like dry and wet. It's just when you get, and especially if you have, I've raced on street circuits like that where the back in the day the Indy cars would, for example, in Indy Lights when I raced those, they would rip up the center of the track in corners because they had ground force, and it was so hot that they would suck up the asphalt underneath, and they would have to relay. They would break it up, and it would be like. It's just a very strange sense. One side of the car is gripping, the other side isn't, and it just makes the car very unstable. Very, it's talking about confidence. You have no confidence. But if you have a car that has a lot of mechanical grip, that it actually transfers the grip onto the right side, and is able to take care of it. But if you can't enter the speed into the corner fast enough, when you need an aerodynamic grip, you need to enter the corner very fast and be able to go through the corner very fast, so the aerodynamics push you down.
Right.
And because of the surface, the tires won't let you. so you have people spinning out like Perez did, and, So anyway,
Got
so
you. Got you.
so that's a very basic, explanation of what's going on. I think the race itself, for the first half, 3/4 it was tire management all the way. It was everybody's trying to figure out. Nobody had done any long runs on these tires. Nobody knew.
So the first, 23 laps or so,
How
25?
many laps was it? 62 laps. I mean, I would say the first 30 laps, people were trying just to manage their tires, and everybody was, or most people were on the hard tire, and so just managing the tire, and so the pace was really slow.
Got it.
Like Russell was behind Sainz, and on the radio you'd say, man, he's so slow. He's like parking the car. And Sainz was on the radio saying, I could drive this pace all day and be like half asleep,
Wow.
and it was that slow. And sure enough, at the end of the race, it was all about tire management.
Yep.
And
What lap were the first pits on?
I don't recall actually.
Somewhere.
Pit stop summary. Let's click on that. So Sainz came in on lap 20. So did Leclerc.
Yep.
So did Russell. The top guys all came in lap 20, which was a safety car.
Yep.
And then Perez, I think Perez came in twice. No, yeah. Perez and Verstappen were on the same tires. In the first 40 laps, they were on the hard tires because they started so far back. Their strategy was just to outlast everybody and go deeper as the car gets lighter, and then switch tires and go on a better tire at the end of the race.
So if they pitted on laps 39 and 40, they
Out of
couldn't make up.
62. No, with that car, even on a better tire, it just wasn't working.
Wow.
Unlike Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, who came in lapped 44, 54, 60. So it was less than 20 laps to go.
18 to
And
go.
the last safety car came in, and they made up. They were so far behind. I forgot how far back they were. They were like 25 seconds behind the leaders, and they caught up to them.
Wow. So then they pitted so late, they've got fresher tires, and that's how
And
they
lighter
made up.
fuel load.
Ah,
So the
yeah,
car
yeah.
is much faster.
Yep.
Whereas the other guys in front were driving on old tires that they changed on lap 20.
Yep.
So those guys were on lap 20 on lap 40 on their tires, and these guys were on lap 10. So, that's what made a huge difference. At least for Mercedes to catch up to the front. But we have to talk about Carlos Sainz doing a masterful job managing the speed, managing the pace all day. He was in front all day. He had to manage the pace. He had to keep people behind him, drive defensively. That's not easy to do. Very impressive for him to be able to do that.
He looked like a championship driver.
Yes. Whereas Leclerc just had some bad luck. He got caught out by this first safety car when they double stacked the Ferraris, like many teams did when the first safety car happened, and Leclerc was behind obviously Sainz. Sainz came in first. They timed it perfectly. However, when Leclerc was trying to leave, there were a bunch of cars coming in, and he had to wait and wait and wait, and he literally went from P3 to P6 or 7. And it just killed his race. I mean,
Disaster.
he finished 4th, which was nice for him to pull that out. But I felt bad for him because he was right there, and it was not his own. I mean,
He is due a break this year.
he is. I mean, and last year he had lots of breaks.
Yeah.
And you remember how often he crashed
yeah.
in the lead and
Yep.
messed it up. And Austin was one of them, wasn't
yeah.
it? Yeah. I mean, come on. So this year he hasn't put as many things wrong, but that's how it goes.
Yeah.
It's like, when you're on, you better finish. Anyway.
Yeah, no, he needs I don't know, he needs a lot of things, but needs a good last third of the year for
But
sure.
I have to say, I'm very happy about the front teams, how even the teammates are, how even the cars are, how nobody in the old days, you always had a number one, number two driver with number one, equipment, number two equipment, and you could never really judge. But I don't see that at McLaren. I don't see that at Ferrari. I don't see that at Mercedes. Red Bull, I'm not sure about. I suspect that Max does have better bits and pieces on the car than Sergio.
McLaren, no.
McLaren, no.
Yeah. Alpine, definitely no.
Alpine, yeah. They're
Haas,
they're
no.
throwing everything at it. No, they can't afford to have.
What about a team like Williams? Would they?
No.
Even if they have limited
Well,
resource?
yes. If there are new bits and pieces, Albon is going to get it, not Sargent.
Yeah.
Especially after Sargent had crashed a lot and wrecked the car many a time, so they're going to be leery of putting things on his car. Alonso and Stroll. I don't think Alonso has anything better than Stroll. Wow. Obviously, Stroll's dad owns the freaking team, so he's not going to say, Lance, you're not getting the bits and pieces. So, but Stroll was nowhere this weekend, by the way. He just was nowhere to be found. He was not on it. I don't know what was going on with him.
He's thinking about tennis.
He was not even close to Alonso.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, I think Mercedes did the right strategy. I think...
Mercedes is, for what it is, they're not what they were 3 years ago, but they are still putting in impressive race weekends consecutively.
And Russell,
top talent. They
on,
made
dude.
a bad mistake.
Come on, dude. Seriously.
So what happens in that moment where, is it just lack of concentration for a tenth of a second?
It. That's it. That's all it takes.
Yeah, you've talked about that a lot in the last couple of years. You have to concentrate all
the way
time.
to the end.
Yeah,
you can't. Think back of Senna in Monaco, right? He crashed in going into the tunnel. He crashed, and that was when you read anything about Senna, he'll come back to that very day. He was ahead by, he had lapped everybody.
Yeah.
He was ahead by one lap on the entire field. And he has one little lapse of
They were telling him to slow down.
Exactly.
Slow down.
And he did, and it messed up his head, and that's when you crash. And I never slow. I can't. My brain doesn't function that way. But anyway, so I think Russell is just a lapse of concentration. Yep. The interesting thing is the lap before, Lando Norris hit the same wall, but he got away with it.
Did he? Wow.
So it's not just Russell, it's being a young driver, just, the experience isn't quite there. That wouldn't happen to Hamilton.
No.
It didn't. That wouldn't happen to Max Verstappen either, although he's a young driver. But those little details is you make sure that those aren't missed.
Right.
So,
right.
Russell,
attention to detail.
I'm sure Toto Wolff was not happy.
No, I bet he wasn't.
Because that's kind of a rookie mistake, and Russell has passed a rookie mistake.
Oh, for sure.
That's very unfortunate, and I think I'm surprised I haven't heard anything about Toto saying. But then Toto is he's probably more of the guy that takes you into the trailer and says, "Dude, seriously,
what are you doing?"
Yeah. Come on, this is a team sport. Where are we on the team rankings? Let's see, constructor standings. So we're not going to win anything, but we're not. Ferrari's not far behind us.
Right. No, that's a good battle for
Ferrari
second.
getting a really good result, and Mercedes only getting one car through.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's a big deal. A very, very big deal. So, and Max, finishing fifth. Hats off to them. They did the best they could with a crappy car.
Wow.
So that's pretty impressive.
Well, speaking of Max, how much championship clinching is on?
I don't know. I've looked at the math.
I don't know.
Because I can't imagine that he's far away from actually clinching it at this point. He's at
he's
374, and the next guy's at 223.
151 point lead.
Oh my God.
151.
Let's see how many races are left.
If he didn't finish the next 6 races,
There's not that many left.
and number 2 got first in every one, he would still win. By
So we've got Japan. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races left. So how much do they get per win?
25.
20?
25.
So
6 races.
Yeah.
So if he, it would probably be Cutter that he clinches it.
yep.
Wow.
We're not far away.
Not far away. So then Austin race, nope.
He could either you could get clinch at Qatar or Austin.
Right.
I can't wait for Vegas.
Vegas. Gonna
Vegas,
be crazy.
baby. That looks like a Mickey Mouse track.
What makes it a Mickey Mouse track?
It's just the layout of it. It's basically 3 straights with a bunch of wiggly stuff in it. And it's kind of what they did in F1 in the 80s when they raced through parking lots in Vegas.
Oh,
they
yeah.
literally converted parking lots into racetrack. And it was just
Doesn't seem like a good idea.
yeah, it was just a shit show.
Wow.
So one of these straights is actually the strip. I would imagine it's probably this long one. It's probably down the Vegas Strip, which it's all publicity. It's not really a racetrack. It's like Miami.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, oh,
Joke.
I mean, Singapore's bad enough, but Miami is like my least favorite. I think that's
terrible.
just an awful track.
Yeah.
Compared to the other scenic, I mean, when you compare that to an Australia,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Albert Park is like gorgeous. Monaco, even a Monaco is better.
Or even Austin, that was
Austin,
purposely built.
well, that was a purpose-built track.
Right.
I'm just comparing it to street
okay,
tracks.
yeah,
You know,
gotcha. Montreal.
yeah, it's a great track. Even Azerbaijan is a
Yeah.
great track.
Oh, I love that
you know?
track. Yeah.
So anyway,
Cruise by a castle.
yeah, exactly. I think that's very cool.
Yeah.
I look forward to Japan. That's always a good good track.
Yep. Is
Qatar,
that this weekend or next weekend?
That's the September 22nd.
Oh, that's this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
All right.
Qatar's actually no. Which one is the one that I really like? Abu Dhabi, I think.
Oh,
That's really high speed. Remember where Hamilton and Max were crashing into each other and
in 21?
in like the safety
Oh,
car
yeah,
and
yeah,
Max
yeah.
slowed up and
that was when he brake tested
because
it.
it's high speed, it's like it's freaking complicated. As a driver, I look at that track and go, "Holy cow, that takes some cojones." Because it's
that's
high speed, close in, the walls are right there. You make one little mistake and you're toast.
Right.
Remember Mick Schumacher's crash?
Oh, yeah.
That it's a dangerous track, and I like dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, look at this compared to Vegas.
Yeah,
What a
that's what I'm talking about. You compare it's like, come on, you can't come up with something better than this, But it's Vegas.
It is Vegas. Wow. Well, on to Japan.
Japan is such a beautiful track.
Oh, it's one of my absolute favorites.
Man,
for
that's
sure.
a driver's track
Yeah.
for sure.
What makes it so much a driver's track? Just the amount of skill involved, and it's not just put your foot down.
Yep, and it's very.
You have to concentrate the whole time.
Every single corner in the book is on that track, and it makes it really, really challenging to set up the car. Because you can't set up a car for every corner, so you're gonna have to compromise. Speed is really high on this track. It makes it difficult to keep the car on the track.
Yeah.
It's just one of those where you really have to have a rhythm every lap, otherwise you're too slow to qualifying, but even in the race, if you don't have a good rhythm on that track, it's going to slow you down.
What is rhythm involved? Just staying on the line the whole time and being consistent with your braking?
It's I don't know how to explain it to you, but have you ever danced with somebody, like ballroom danced?
Yeah.
And when you're in the zone with each other, body-wise, and you're just flowing and moving, right?
Right, you don't even think about it.
No, and that's the rhythm of driving.
Okay.
When you get to that place where you're one with the car and you're in that rhythm of, you're not even having to think, it's just one corner flows into the next and you're just doing everything exactly right. That's what you need on that track.
Okay.
That's what makes it fast.
That's and it is amazing. There's
Like
a
a Monaco, like you can manhandle the car around the track.
Yeah.
in Austin. Austin's another one that's more of a rhythm track.
Yeah.
Brazil, not so much. Netherlands is a rhythm track. Austria is a rhythm track. What else? Those are probably the main ones.
Montreal, maybe?
Montreal, no. Probably Silverstone is a little
Oh,
bit
yeah.
more rhythm.
Yeah.
But it's just very few tracks. It's very, very weird to explain how some tracks require a lot of rhythm
Got it.
and being a lot more one with the car. So anyway.
Got you. Okay.
Well, that was 30 minutes.
Hey,
Recap.
there we go.
On to the next race.
On to Japan. Nice. See you then, sir.
Cheers.